Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching this. It's time for another one of these. I've noticed something happening, and I mean, it's that time of year again when companies are going to be leaning on their social media influencers in order to influence buying choices to basically make money for their companies. And, it's a typical practice. It's basically celebrity endorsement without celebrities. It's just endorsement. And be careful. Take everything you see online with a very serious grain of salt. Hell, take it with a mountain of salt or a salt flat worth of salt, because you don't know if these people are being paid to tell you what they're telling you, or if they're getting paid to sow fear, uncertainty, and especially doubt in the comment sections of YouTube videos. I mean, these may very well be employees of the companies that are coming through and doing these sorts of things, or a paid influencer who is commenting on your YouTube comment where you go, say, "Oh, I like Samick guitars. They're awesome. Samick guitars are great." And then some idiot comments right after you, "Oh, they're garbage. I've gotten one or two of them, and it was garbage, and the frets were garbage, and the neck was off, and the angle was off, and it was just, I had to just get rid of it. It was nothing but firewood." And a lot of times, a lot of these people are coming from companies or they're paid influencers, but there's a lot of times they're also just people who are ignorant. And they make what's called a hasty generalization. Now, a hasty generalization is judging an entire group of things or an entire company based on one or two experiences that a person had, anecdotal experiences. And you really honestly can't base an entire thing on that. It's called a hasty generalization. It's a logical fallacy. Like, say somebody got I saw in a video somebody was explaining it recently. Somebody bought a car, and that car brand, they had a problem with their car, and there were all sorts of mechanical issues, and they basically bought a lemon. And they turned around and said, "Well, all cars of this brand are garbage, because the one I bought was a lemon," basically. And there's so much wrong with that statement. And then you get people on the other side of it who are like, "Man, I bought this Gibson or this Fender or this PRS or whatever. Man, I bought that last year, and it was like the greatest guitar I've ever owned. Man, Gibson's the greatest company in the world, or PRS or Fender," or all. And they're just basing it off of one guitar. When people ask me and they're like, "Should I buy this guitar? Should I buy this guitar?" I just say, "Well, the experience I've had with the one I own," and I'll tell them how many I own. If I own one or if I own multiple, I'll just say what my experience has been, how I got the guitars to where they're at, when I'm making videos with them, things along those lines. I never give them a simple answer like, "Oh yeah, all Epiphones are great," or "Yeah, oh yeah, all Samics are great," or "all Harley Bentons are just awesome," because it's not the case. I mean, people have gotten Epiphones that are basically lemons, Gibsons that are lemons, PRSs that are lemons, Harley Bentons that are lemons. You name the brand, and they will put out a lemon. It happens. Quality control isn't an exacting process. And especially, I mean, the person could have had a bad day. They could be rushed because of the holidays. They could be rushed because of other things. They could be hiring somebody that they shouldn't have hired, or somebody could just be screwing off at the job. There's so much. Or middle management and upper management could do cost cutting and say, "Okay, well, this is something I've seen Gibson do, which is pretty shocking and low." They give you a card with your Gibson when you buy it, and it has a checklist of things they supposedly checked at the factory before it ended up at your house. And as far as experience goes, from what I've seen, at least in the last several years, including up to just recently, they don't really do what's on those checklists. They just send the checklist with it. and you'll find them with sharp front ends, which, I mean, if you've got a climate difference between them, if you're sending a guitar from one climate to another, especially in the change of seasons, you might get a little bit of shrinkage and things along those lines. Or something may have happened with the shipping company. UPS loves to throw stuff around, FedEx, it depends which place is which. Some places do that, some other places don't. You never know what you're going to get with these shipping companies. But a lot of these things, high frets, frets that are messed up, different things along those lines, bad electronics, things along those lines, badly cut nuts. See, that kind of stuff doesn't happen in shipping, badly cut nuts and bad electronics. Those things are one way or the other. They're either going to be good or they're not. I mean, you can bounce around a guitar and the electronics will still work. There may be a few things that might happen in shipping, but it's pretty rare with that. But as far as the sharp fret ends go, that's the wood and along those lines. But a badly cut nut is a badly cut nut. And people will judge an entire brand based on their one or two experiences. And then they'll go in these forums and they'll go onto the comment sections and they'll say, oh, yeah, it's all garbage. Epiphones are all garbage, and Squires are all crap. And, it's usually the cheaper brands who catch a lot of flack this way because they don't pay for, I guess they have the reputation of being budget. And a lot of people put a social stigma on that, too. And the companies don't pay for, expensive quality control, and it's not managed as much because the company is operated on a limited budget. But even then, the bigger companies do the same thing. So when it comes down to it, it doesn't matter where your guitar was made, who made it. You're going to have lemons, you're going to have great guitars. You're going to have these things. But people will make these judgments, and they will sit there, and they'll also use what's called social pressure. Peer pressure is another word for it. And it's basically tradition and what's considered quote-unquote cool. It's cool to have a specific name on your headstock, but only among other guitarists. See, that's the thing. A lot of these people who are these brand-biased people are not professionals. Most professionals, they're not brand biased. They may have endorsement deals. They may be given guitars. They may be given customized guitars from companies, and who's going to turn down a free guitar? So, and especially one that's been customized. And then they have techs. A lot of these guitars that you see these rock stars playing, they have techs. In fact, all of them have techs. These are people that work with them. It's like having your own personal guitar shop right there on the stage, a backstage, whatever. And those people fix up those guitars to the absolute top quality they could possibly get it to. Case in point, Tom Scholz, one of my favorite guitarists of all time. One of two guitarists who basically influenced me to give up drums and become a guitar player back in 1978. Tom Scholz had a 1968 Gibson Les Paul. What did he do with it? Pulled the Gibson pickups immediately and put in DiMarzios that he got from Larry DiMarzio back in the 70s when Larry DiMarzio was doing the wire wraps in his own basement. So he got rid of the Gibson pickups, the T-tops or whatever. Jimmy Page, his Les Pauls are altered. The wiring is altered in them. And there are just many, many more examples. These guitars aren't like they are bought on the rack. And yet people think that you can go in, buy a Gibson off the rack, or buy a Fender off the rack, or buy a PRS off the rack, and it's going to be exactly like the guitar that their heroes are playing. And it's just not the case. Those guitars are so altered. And take it from me, who I have been in the music business for a long, long time. And I've gotten to know several people, famous and not, and I saw how their stuff is altered. It's not how they buy it. Like a custom shop guitar, people will buy custom shop guitars, and the fallacy is that the custom shop guitar is superior quality, and it was made so well that it's perfectly suited for them. No, the custom shop guitar was made to catch people who want to spend more money for status, and it's all about status. And for the people who want to buy something and have bragging rights. The custom shop guitar is not made for you. It's made to sit on a rack. It's made to sit for people to buy it who want to spend more money thinking they're getting something better. That's what custom shop guitars are. Unless it is customized for you, your hands measured in some cases, or made completely to your specs, every little thing taken care of completely to your specs and set up to your specs, then it's not a custom shop guitar. It's just a guitar with a higher price point and a label. That's basically what it is. Gibsons aren't special, Fenders aren't special. High-priced guitars aren't special. They're just status symbols. You can take a budget guitar and you can make it the same quality as a high-priced Gibson, high-priced Fender, high-priced anything. As long as the body is sound and there aren't like catastrophic flaws in it, you can do that. And you can do that for a pretty cheap price. You can spend $7,000 on a Gibson custom shop, or you can upgrade an Ibanez or an Epiphone or a Harley Benton or anybody else who makes a single cut, or even the double cut SG. You can upgrade it for a couple $100 and you'll have the exact same quality with a good setup, maybe some fret leveling along those lines. You could do fret end filing. You could round off the frets on the fretboard. Rounding off the fret ends. You can put on an excellent nut. All these things can be done for a couple $100, and you'll have something that is the exact same quality as that $7,000 Gibson. But there's one difference. It doesn't have that name. And then it'll have the social stigma amongst their peers online, or, maybe there might be a guitarist in the audience somewhere who is really worried about the name on the headstock. And it's ridiculous. No one in the audience gives a crap, other than maybe another guitarist or another musician, about the names on your headstocks or the names on your amps or on your effects. No one gives a shit. All they care about is if you can entertain them and if you can actually play the damn things, or if your band is any good. They're out there to have a good time, drink, talk to their friends, do whatever they want to do. They're not out there to critique the name brand on your guitar. That means zero to them. Zero. It only matters to little people who sit on the internet and judge each other based on that, or other guitarists who play these stupid games of judging each other. That's what it's all about. That's what's going on. So don't base your entire view of an entire line on a few examples. If you see somebody saying, "Oh well, I got an Epiphone the other day," or I got a I got a Squire the other day, or I got a Samick, or I got one of these cheap Ibanezes. This is garbage. It's total garbage, because the fret ends were wrong, the frets were all uneven, this was wrong, this was wrong, this was wrong, and they all suck. You don't want to ever buy a Squire or an Epiphone or a Samick or a cheap Ibanez. Never buy a guitar under $500 or $600 like some idiot told me once. He said never buy a guitar under $1,000 because none of them are any good. And that is some of the biggest bullshit I've ever heard in my entire life. And, don't sit there and accept their views as valid. Check the guitars out for yourself. Talk to people who work on guitars. judge personalities, because you can get people to work on guitars that are total snobs too, you know, and they don't base their, because they're musicians as well, some of them, and they don't base their views on anything other than their own personal experiences as far as, you know, with certain brands. And so you got to really use your own judgment in it, and don't take anybody else's advice of buying expensive shit, because it's not important. What's important is if the guitar plays, not the name is on that's on the headstock. What's important is how the amp sounds, not the name that's branded on it. How does it perform for you? How well does it perform? Is it reliable? That's all you need to know. Nothing more. So don't take these, I bought one or two Gibsons, you know, or I bought one or two Epiphones, or I bought one, you know, and they're all crap because I got lemons. They're not all crap. Guitars are guitars. Amps are amps. Anything is anything. You get some good ones, you get some bad ones. Same with people. Have a good day.